skyline. There's brush. You see it, then you're like, oh, that's it. And then you only get like a few seconds of it. And you get like, that was a car place. It turned into a church. A car lot, now it's a church. We're going to get it here in just a second. Hang on. There's Las Colinas on my left. I can see it here. Usually you just get like a little piece. And I mean, all I need is a really good drone. And I don't need to do all this shit. But I don't know. It's like painting, addictive painting. Let me see. Yeah, you can see some of it right here. Then what happens is you turn it off and then there's the shot. Then you turn it back on and then there comes a gate, or there comes a bunch of freaking apartments or houses, but this stuff still could be okay. There's like I've probably got like 50 shots of the skyline. But it just feels necessary to capture it. It's kind of like, why aren't you taking a picture of me? What's going on? On the skyline. Alright, here we go. Yep, this is going to be kind of good. Let me stabilize it. Let me put it on my little tripod. Here we go. Then we'll be approaching. This is like Mockingbird going towards Love Field exit. Okay, there we go. So I am gonna eventually do another version of Catnappers. I know Catnappers needs some work. I have to go back once again, scan through it. I gotta change things like add Frank Savage's character when I'm talking about the Wonder Years as Winnie Cooper. I don't know where I got Jenny from, but I'm pretty confident that those are all my words. It's been forever since I've revisited it, but I'm going to go back, and there's a lot of little things. Some sentence structure I'm going to have to change up, and I'm going to have to rehearse some moments. Some of it was really good. Some of the walkie-talkie scenes and stuff, some of that I'm going to keep. Some of it I'm going to rework. It's just, it's just like anything else. It's like any kind of painting. Catnappers, the idea behind it is that I really want it to be a solid story. I'm also maybe thinking about looking at some of the philosophical stuff and seeing what I can do with that. I don't mind it because I come from Generation X. Stephen King, The Body, which I think maybe he was inspired by Golding's Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Flies was very straightforward. He did get a little philosophical about some things, but not truly. And I think maybe I am kind of, parallel with Lord of the Flies a little bit, because the kids do decide to possibly do something very destructive when they decide that maybe they should burn down the shed to rid the catnappers of their base, of where they're sacrificing the cats. But that is kind of a Lord of the Fly moment. It's a Lord of the Fly moment because they don't agree upon exactly what to do, and then of course before they can make a decision, somebody walks up on them, which I think is real nice plot wise. So also what I noticed about it is there are chapters. So this is one story that has developed over a long period of time, and I realized, wow, I do have chapters, and that's going to make things way easier for me because each chapter has a beginning, a middle, and end, and a structure. So you go in, you got this beginning, middle, and end, and then you go on to the next chapter and things like that. So some of it's working. I'm gonna have to go back and rework it when I get some time. But I think ultimately, it is kind of a made-up story. I did change some of the names. Ultimately, it's a made-up story, but I'm trying to think about what I'm trying to say by talking about these Satan worshipers and who they are. I mean, there's a definite enemy in the story, and the kids aren't like dogmatic religious beliefs, religious dogmatic people, but Jonah does say that, no, I'm a Baptist. You know, he says that when the guy offers him the satanic verses, which I remember feeling strange when Sean gave it to me, looking at it and going, what the, it was this like black magic kind of thing. I do remember that, but DeJean gives it to him, and he's like, I don't remember. I remember he says something in the story. He says something like, I'm a Baptist. I don't remember exactly the point. And I do like the idea behind Thad, Hank's character, which I call him Thaddeus Hank, about how he is one of the inventors of the atom bomb, which was actually rumored to be true. And he did take us around and stuff like that. There's other stories I'm going to write linked with DeJean, and I don't know. I may do another version of that. There was something about it that I wanted to look at too, possibly changing some of the arguments that they have. Whenever he finds them all laying under the camo blanket, that I may have to rework. And also things like whenever he sees the sister's friends, I may describe their bi-level haircuts and the combs in their pockets, as well as their moccasins and their tattoos, and the fact they smoke pot and cigarettes, and the shirts they wear, like Iron Maiden, and maybe is one shirt, things like that, and describe the room sequence a little bit better and things like that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of detailed painting. So I'm gonna have to rework a lot of little bite-sized pieces and try to make it more, I guess, commercially accepted. It's at, like I said, it's at kind of a caveman stage still, to where it's layered and more Renoir or Rimbaud, or, you know, a little more detailed King kind of thing. So that it, you know, so that we can follow it a little bit better, so it's more smooth. I like also the fact that it's in, a lot of it's in first person. I think most of it's in first person, and also how the narrator is talking to the audience and letting people know about things. There's a lot of new stuff that I'm finding in what I've done with it, and it does sound very much children's story too at times, even though it is for adults. But at times there is an aspect of children's stories, especially the fighting of the cats and things like that. Those kinds of things I think are working really well. The cats in the kitchen with Duchess and the Dalmatians. Was it Duchess and Darby? I remember the two dogs' name. I know one of them was Duchess. Spots and Duchess, right? That whole with the cat going up and nibbling on the fancy feast, that whole thing is kind of coming from Spielberg's cartoon that he did about the dog. Or he for I think it was Amazing Stories or something. The dog on A Family Dog, I think is what it was called. It was one of like the first really funny stories